From the front lines of the border fight to the halls of Capitol Hill and on the campaign trail, the border crisis is taking center stage. President Biden is now reportedly considering executive action to try and cut down on that large number of asylum seekers at the southern border. Rodney Scott, former head of the U.S. Border Patrol, and he served under both Presidents Trump and Biden. He's here to discuss this morning. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on today.
We love having you on. So the president is considering, like I mentioned, using an executive order to restrict asylum claims at the border. Do you think this is going to solve the crisis?
Well, I'm glad to hear the president finally admit that he has the authority. It won't completely solve the crisis, but if he re-implemented many of the programs that he terminated by executive action, if he just put those back in place, that would significantly reduce the flow across the border and let Border Patrol kind of take a breath, if you will, and start focusing on the cartels and stuff a little bit more. Just that massive volume currently because of the catch and release policies, it's unsustainable, and Border Patrol is really completely getting overwhelmed every day.
Rodney, you worked for both administrations. What did you like and dislike on their handling of the border?
So, I would go a little bit farther. So I had 30 years in the Border Patrol, multiple different administrations. Every administration prior to the Biden administration focused on border security. And what that really means is making sure that we were making conscious decisions about who and what entered our country by making sure people came through ports of entry. The Biden administration really reversed that, like 30 years worth of policy, not just the Trump's policies, and opened up the entire border. So right now, basically, the entire southwest border is almost the equivalent of a port of entry. The massive numbers of people being arrested or being released into the United States. And the thing that I hated the most, two things really, was the minute that the Biden administration took over when I was still chief, they issued a gag order. We were no longer allowed to just talk to the media publicly, the complete opposite during the prior administration. And then the conversations behind the scenes, every single conversation during the Biden administration when I was chief was about how to expedite processing. There was absolutely no conversation at all about protecting America, slowing down the flow, or trying to control this mass illegal immigration. And we weren't allowed to talk about how the cartel actually controls it. And this really fuels human trafficking, narcotics smuggling, and everything else. It was a paradigm shift that was unfathomable.
That really is great context and insight. Thank you for that. We know House Speaker Mike Johnson called Biden considering border action a political stunt. Do you think the border crisis should be as polarizing a topic as it is? What don't people, the average American, know about when it comes to the border?
No, it really shouldn't be political. And there's always the immigration aspect of it has always gotten some political far right, far left. But going back to when I started my career, the Clinton administration was the first administration to really take border security serious and start locking it down. Here's the thing people don't realize. Border security is exactly like your home. You expect people to come through your front door, and then you make conscious decisions based on whatever your principles are, who's allowed in your home. Well, Congress has established laws of who and what gets to enter the United States, and you're supposed to come through a port of entry. The Border Patrol's job is to make sure everybody enters our home through that port of entry or the front door. It's really that simple. And right now, this administration has completely walked away from that concept. And we've got just people pouring across from around the world. This is not a Western Hemisphere thing. There are over like 30,000 Russians, 57,000 Chinese. And then the human trafficking that's hidden in that is just phenomenal as well.
And we know ICE is reportedly drafting a plan that would release thousands of immigrants, also drastically cut its capacity to hold detainees. What does this mean for border agents on the ground?
It means it gets worse, because the reason that you're seeing these massive illegal immigration coming across is catch and release. So a lot of the things we saw behind the scenes, I'm really glad you brought this up. You would hear rhetoric coming out of the White House a little bit on the media or whatever else. They want to do something, but at the same time, they're cutting bed space, which means the people the Border Patrol is catching, they end up having to release them into the public and wait for a hearing in court, sometimes years down the road. Well, every one of those people calls home and tells their friends and relatives that they made it, they're safely into the United States. So that encourages another wave to come across. You have to detain people until their court case is adjudicated or keep them outside the country, remain in Mexico. It's a much cheaper process, but either one of those would dramatically reduce the cross-border flow. But those are the two things that this administration is adamantly opposed to.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.